Back to the channel with me is Team Mike's Bikes development rider, Devin. Good to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we're talking Tulsa Tough, Blue Dome, Cat 1-2 race. You're like peaking for this event, right?
Yeah, this was, I registered for this as a 3 still, and I was like, I need to upgrade. And I grinded during the season, got it done, and here we are.
Oh, so when you registered, you were still a 3, so you were like, I have to get my upgrade points.
I was hunting all season.
And so congrats, you did, because here you are in the 1-2 race, lined up in the hot Tulsa sun, stressed as ever. Let's just rip it. But first, a really quick message from the sponsor of this video.
All right, just back from a ride, about ready to put my feet up. I'm ready to rehydrate. It was hot out there today. Sports drinks are good for hydration, but they have all this sugar. They're good for on the bike. We talk about this on the channel a lot, but you don't want that sugar when you're off the bike. That is why I'm happy to talk about today's sponsor. It is LMNT, Element. They're one of these companies who have stripped the sugar away from the sports drink, leaving behind just the electrolytes in order to maximize your hydration, get you ready for tomorrow's effort, get you ready for tomorrow's race, whatever it is. Very important. If you're not hydrating, I don't know what you're doing. There are 3 things I really like about this brand. The first one is you know what you're getting. It's all right here on the front. This mixture of electrolytes, by the way, is not by accident. This is scientifically backed in order to maximize rehydration, getting you ready for tomorrow's effort. And there's no artificial blah, 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 all that other stuff. There's no sugar. This is raspberry. You wouldn't tell. It looks just like water. But that leads me to the second thing that I like about this brand. It is like, you can taste the salt a little bit, but it's not like you're drinking seawater. Some of these it tastes like you're drinking seawater. Finally, the third thing I really like about this brand is the price. Right now, Element is offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single serving packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors, so go on over to drinklmnt.com/NorCal. You can find the link in the description. So check it out. Now back to the content.
All right, so fantastic clipping. Good work,
I miss
Devin.
my clip-in every single day.
Including this day. And this is of particular consequence because there are 8 corners on this pretty short criterium lap. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so it's 8-corner crit. 6 right-hand turns, 2 left-hand turns. You know, it is a 45-minute race. So losing a couple wheels at the start, I wasn't too worried about. I mean, we always talk about kind of having good positioning at this race and getting a good corral spot. I was lined up second row at the start line, but I wasn't too worried. There was enough time to start moving up.
Teammates?
No teammates. I was here all alone in the 1-2s, following a win from our dev rider Nick Gomez in the Cat 3 race.
So pressure is on. Your
Pressure
teammate's
was on.
winning in the Cat 3 race. You gotta step it up and win the 1-2 race. So competition-wise, was there certain guys, certain teams you're looking out for?
No, not really. There was a lot of Texas Roadhouse guys. I know they have a bigger presence in the Pro 1 race, but there wasn't anybody specific I was looking out for.
Pavement looks a little dicey. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the pavement on that back straight was pretty bad. There was some potholes in that turn 4, and then just like filled in potholes along that whole back straight. I felt like there was going to be bottles popping out left and right, but luckily there wasn't.
So then, as we're about to approach the start-finish straight once again, you mentioned to me, I thought this was pancake flat. I've never actually raced the Blue Dome. There's actually a little bit of an uphill on the start-finish straight.
Yeah, it's pretty deceiving. Like any of the videos you see, it looks like it's pan flat. I mean, we're going 30 miles an hour up this, but here I am doing 450 watts in the draft. It's not a insignificant hill. Like when I pre-rode it, I turned that final turn and I looked up and was like, oh, like that is an uphill and
That's a thing.
you have to pedal up it. So
Yeah. Ooh, man. That was just a little scary, that lateral move that guy just made. Oh, look, Tayroon.
Yep, we had a few NorCal guys. We had Jake Timmerman from Tayroon Elite, and then Griffin Nemitz from Ride Bikes.
Right. Okay.
So a few frenemies, more friends than enemies now.
Yeah. Shout out NorCal. But let's talk about you real fast. We've raced together, so I
Yes.
know how you race. And you're also, I don't want to. I'll say it. You're good at riding your bike. You're good at handling your bike. You
Thank
also
you.
make a decent amount of power, which to find success at this level in the sport, it kind of needs to be both. Like, we talk a lot about our power numbers. Everyone has a power meter these days, and it's something you can easily compare yourself to others with, but that doesn't guarantee success. The other part of bike racing that is equally as important, if not more important, in crit racing is positioning, cornering, and that's really how I've won races in my career, because my power has gotten okay over the years, but it's really not one of these like off the couch EJ type numbers where like I have a 1700 watt sprint. I really have to depend on my bike handling ability. But the racing I've done with you, Devin, is I've noticed that you are really good at finding these spots in the race and handling your bike and cornering well. That's particularly important in this race, right?
Yes. I mean, we're all nobody's giving each other an inch. You see me here, I'm moving up. I see open space. I'm not letting anybody take that. I'm just shooting this gap right through here.
Yeah,
and here
good.
I am, pretty much right there at the front of the race. Just a couple laps in after missing the clip in, and look at that. You can see the front right there.
And these guys are taking risks. Like, we're going to fast forward here and show you a couple more examples of the risks these riders are taking. Because let's not forget, this is your A priority race.
This is my A priority race. This is 3 days of racing, and these first 2 days suit me the best. So the sooner I can get a good result, the sooner I can relax.
And this is also the A priority race for a lot of these other riders. This
Yep.
is the Cat 1-2 race, which is generally the highest level of racing for like local NorCal stuff, but not out here in Tulsa. There is another category, right?
Yes, there is the Pro 1 race. You have Legion, Miami Blazers, Austin Aviators, all of them.
The peak of crit racing in the United States, certainly, arguably all of the world, because crit racing is very United States centric.
Yeah.
So what that means is a lot of these guys are racing. They're peaking for this race. They're will really want to prove themselves, because this is really like the proving ground for these bigger teams to get into the Pro 1 race and to get the attention of Legion and these other teams you've mentioned, Miami Blazers, all these other teams. As a result, people are risky out here, and you can see some of these lines people are taking.
Absolutely. I mean, we're all, like I said, we're all trying to get a result, and ultimately, like you said, it's also my goal to progress through the sport, get up into that Pro 1 level race, and
you were
continue.
risky too. Like, look at this
Yeah.
corner that you took. You did hit this curb, right? You bumped against
yeah.
this curb.
I ended up going a little wide here. You see me, I ran over the feet of the barriers there. Wound up actually scraping my crank on the curb.
Caught the attention of the fans too. Look at their faces.
Yep. Someone came up and said, "Nice save." So that was a little bit of a hairy moment, but we kept going.
So that might be a little foreshadowing. Let's fast forward and see how the end of this race plays out. All right, Devin, we fast forward. We just went under 3 laps to go. There's 5 kilometers left in this race. What's going on in your head?
I'm feeling good. We're, like you said, we're within 3 to go. I've been ripping the outside line the whole day for the most part. Heart rate's under control. Power's been under control. I've only averaged 332 watts, just sitting in the pack with a normalized
232, not 332.
Sorry, 232. And I've normalized 250. So I've been pretty steady, especially for the course that's this technical. And I'm ready to rip off a sprint.
We forgot to mention you're a sprinter. Yeah,
I'm a sprinter. I can put out some pretty good power.
And you've saved up into this point. You haven't even hit 1,000 watts at this point.
I've kept it under 1,000 watts. I've kept it under control. So here we are, just moving up again, coming in here to turn 5.
That outside line.
Making up
good.
a few wheels here.
This is right where I'd want to be,
So
by
yeah.
the way. Like, you are, what, 8th, 9th wheel?
I think I'm 10th wheel right now. About to hit 2 laps to go, 10th wheel. It is strung out. Right. It is fast. It is single file. And then tragedy hits. So yeah, I hit pretty hard, scraped up my back and my hip, my elbow all pretty good. The helmet did its job. Luckily, no concussion. I have full recollection of the entire incident. No memory loss whatsoever. Shoes were completely scraped through the inside, and my front wheel was missing about half of its spokes.
So an expensive one, but no broken bones.
No broken bones.
Concussion.
No concussion.
Disappointment because you're peaking for this event.
Exactly.
You were primed and ready to go in basically perfect position. I loved that position. That's where I would want to be as a field sprinter. So that's like the heartbreak, which I'm sure, like, as a fellow racer, I would be thinking the same thing. Like, screw the bike, screw the road rash. I'm mad that I didn't pop off my sprint.
I mean, as I was sliding, that was my one thing. I was upset that I was sliding on the ground instead of going through the next turn.
We're crazy, man. We're crazy cyclists. But let's run the crash back one more time in slow motion because there's some unique things that happen. All right, so we're inside of 3 laps to go. We're gonna watch this back in slow motion because there's some interesting things going on here. I think it was potentially avoidable, but let me just talk you guys through it. So what's going on here? It is crazy fast. It is single file, and you're in this great position that we've talked about. This rider in your rear camera on the left is moving up. He's going to do something very unpredictable. And we're going to pause it right here because this is the critical moment. So the rider on the left of you has moved up, and it doesn't really show it in the GoPro footage here, but from this other perspective, you can see he actually made contact with your shoulder, right?
Yes, he actually kind of leaned right and kind of pushes me to the right a bit. It was a little
excessive.
A little excessive and a little unpredictable, considering he had plenty of room on his left and clear air in front of him. So
yeah, what ends up happening as a result of this contact is it moves you a bit further right than you would have otherwise wanted to be, kind of in this danger zone. That's what I wanted to talk about because the rider on your right, to me, it looks like he's eyeing this open wheel in front of him.
Exactly. The field is actually starting to drift left a bit, getting ready for this next turn. We're pretty close to the right-hand barriers. We want to get back over to the left-hand side to get ready for the next turn.
Right, and you're in a good position to respond to that. Or I should say, you were in a good position to respond to that until the rider on your right, or your left, rather, has occupied that space. That gives you no outs. So when the rider to the right of you does start to drift, you have nowhere to go, and you have like a millisecond there, Devin, to squeeze your brakes. And if you ever find yourself in that position, you have a couple decisions to make. You can either push back on the rider on your left, if you really want to fight for that wheel, if this is like the last corner or something, or you just give it up, feather the brakes. But man, he just put you in this uncomfortable position where you had milliseconds to react.
Yeah, it just wasn't enough time. I kind of started touching the brakes. I saw that wheel come in my direction, and I didn't want to absolutely lock up and ultimately maybe get ran in from behind.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Once you're using brakes inside of the last few laps, it's never good. I mean, I wouldn't be so worried about riders running into the back of you. You don't have to like lock it up, but slowing down at that point in the race is really consequential for your chances for overall success. But
absolutely.
Anyway, stoked that you're not hurt.
Yeah, I was ultimately just a little beat up, bruised.
Unfortunately, just kind of like the circumstances were such that you had a few milliseconds to react.
Exactly.
And I just wish that rider on the left of you didn't come up and kind of push you like he did. But let's talk about redemption.
Redemption, day 2, Arch District.
Dude, you presumably cleaned up your scrapes.
Yeah,
threw some Tegaderm, lined up the next day, and crushed it.
Yeah, I mean, to run through it, I had to source a front wheel, so I grabbed a wheel from the neutral pits, state wheels, state bicycles, had neutral wheel support. I had to go to 30 minutes away across Tulsa to a Cervelo dealer to find a rear derailleur hanger and buy a new pair of shoes, get them set up in time, and then lined up for Arch District.
Settled the score on those nerds. You stood on the box, man.
Got
buried
third.
The lead. Yeah, third.
I got third. So that was an amazing result.
Must have felt good because
it felt like a victory.
Yeah, because you knew you were capable of that in this race. You were certainly in good position to make that happen. So it must have felt vindicating to go out and make that happen the next day.
I had fire in my heart. I was just
fire in his heart.
Diamond in the legs.
Hey, thanks for coming on the episode, man. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Catch you guys in the next one.